Hey everyone, Joël McLean here, and welcome to episode 4 of season 2 of This Is Leadership podcast, your intersection between your growth and your leadership. I hope you guys are doing great. We're already into November 2024. Halloween's past, it's gone, it's done. My, how time flies. And I'm really excited to bring you this episode today. I've got Laura Williams on the show. Of course, her being a professional development expert. She's going to be talking about her book, The Improvement Game, which you can get a copy on Amazon. I'll get the link in the show notes, of course, on the website. And Laura also talks about how we can make the most of learning opportunities, right? Like when it comes to professional development, everybody has an opinion about, how it is, what it is, how good it is. But Laura brings us a little bit of, a little bit of clarity in terms of how we can make the most of it. So she does great work with that, and she also works with students, right? So she helps students, of course, find their workflow. So really interesting stuff. A lot of impact on in schools, of course, with teachers, with staff, and as well with students. So great to have Laura on the show. I hope you guys are going to enjoy this. Leave a comment and make sure to share this episode. Let's get right to it. Hey, everybody, welcome to This Is Leadership, your intersection between your growth and your leadership, because it's important to take the time for yourself, the time to grow. And I'd like to thank everybody that's here watching us either on YouTube. Thanks for being there. Or if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, of course, we're so happy you're there. And make sure to share this episode because we got to share the knowledge. We're learning here. We're sitting here. I'm going to be talking with a fantastic guest. We're going to be learning a bunch of stuff. We're going to hear stuff that we need to hear, maybe. And just remember that because somebody else might need to hear, what we're going to be talking about. So make sure you share this episode. And today I've got a great guest who I've been following for quite some time on social media. So I'm really anxious to get to ask her a few questions. And I'm really, really excited to have Laura Williams here with us today. And Laura is an authentic learning expert, a 21st century learning specialist for the Iowa area education agencies, and founder of the Authentic Learning Alliance, which I discovered because I creeped you a little bit, Laura. So I went and dug a little bit more and discovered that you've got that ongoing as well.
Yes, yes.
And you've got stuff going on the YouTube channel for Codebreaker as well. You've got a bunch of things going on. I love seeing that. And well, first of all, welcome, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you, Joel.
It's really great to have. And I got to tell you, I'm going to go back to when I first discovered you on social media, and I was like, who's this woman that is putting out these
Oh,
messages every morning? It's like almost, I think
oh,
it's every morning there's like this inspiring message, and I'm reading this. I'm like, man, how does she do it? Like everywhere, because I like to publish in social media as well, but you're just putting out some great stuff. So that's how I first discovered you. I just when you were putting out those messages. So we'll
that's
talk about that a little bit
awesome.
later. Yeah, because I want to get into that. But first, for the people that are listening to us here, Laura, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself so that the folks can get to know you a little better?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me, Joel. It's always awesome to be invited and, share the work. So yeah, my day job, I work for the area education agencies here in Iowa. And so we provide like a numerous amount of services for local school districts. My niche of the work, and it's kind of evolved over the years,
Okay.
starting out in really like digital learning and tech integration.
Yeah.
And I was a science consultant for some time there too.
Chemistry
So
teacher.
helping. Oh, there you go, science. I mean, it all comes back to science. I
It
always say
does.
that.
It does.
But yeah, so helping teachers with shifting this to the new standards and integrating, exploring phenomenon and using technology. And so really just being kind of a coach for quite a few years, doing that. And then kind of stepping into a role where I really got into authentic learning,
Okay.
which you might be like, what's authentic learning? Like everyone has their own sort of definitions, but the way I mean it is really getting these opportunities into the classroom that are authentic to whether it's an area business or a community
Mm,
part, or essentially it's like a real project where
yeah.
kids can contribute back. So it's kind of moving away from hypotheticals to actuals. So we are really trying to get kids involved in that real work outside of the classroom. And so my work kind of led me to coordinating this digital, what we call a digital opportunity board, where area businesses and community partners can post projects for kids,
Yeah.
and teachers can explore the board and find an opportunity and then embed it into their classroom. And so that work for many years, professional development, just kind of showcasing success
Hmm.
stories, working with teachers and students. But then that kind of led me down a path of, well, how do we better support these kinds of opportunities, and how do
Uh-huh.
we develop those 21st century skills while we're doing it? So kind of like using the project as a vehicle for development. And so I really started getting into sort of industry standard practices for project management. And so
Love
I
it.
started drinking the Agile Kool-Aid. So
Yes.
listeners,
Yes.
Google Agile if you don't know what that is. I was trained to be a Scrum Master.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that has really leveled up my game as not only a facilitator or a provider of services, just trying to add value to our customers, which are the schools, but also just helping students find a workflow in working together. So it really is people work, and how do we work together in a meaningful way? And I really feel like a lot of the agile culture tenets lend itself to that. So in a long story short, I really do professional development and
Yeah.
trying to get this kind of work out into the schools, into the classrooms.
Yeah. And more, and I've been in it, like we said, the pre-chat before recording, aside from talking about potatoes, which we
Yeah,
we can maybe
pomme de
mention.
terre.
Yes, la pomme de terre, la pomme de
They're gonna
terre.
be like, "What are you talking, guys? It's an inside joke." I learned that Joel could speak French, and I was really amazed. And I got to share the word that I knew, which is potato, but it's much prettier in French.
Yes,
Une
la
pomme
pomme de
de
terre.
terre.
In pomme de terre. Yes.
Une pomme de terre.
Now, I got to tell you though, the work that you're doing is so important. 27 years of education I've been in, 18 years as principal, and if there's one thing that I find that schools don't put enough emphasis on is that type of work. How do we go about working together? How to just the PLCs. If we just take that and
Oh,
we look at
yes.
how people do PLCs, and we look at how many
Mhm.
people, when even hear the acronym PLC, they'll roll their eyes. Well, it's because it wasn't done the way that it should have been done, right? So
Right. It could be a powerful, amazing, like I can't wait for my PLC because it
exactly.
empowers me so much and I love collaborating.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
if we need to put in that time in our schools to be able to develop those skills within our people, it's not just about, a big part of it is of course doing curriculum, teaching, best strategies, etc. But
Yes.
we cannot assume that people will know how to work together, that people will know how to build plans and how to
Yes.
how to collaborate. You don't know what you don't know. So we have to bring the training, we have to bring the PD to people
Mhm.
to show them this is how you do it so that you can get so you can maximize the benefit from it and really get a good return on your investment.
That's funny that you say that because I'm always like, there's not a teacher on this planet that says 21st century skills aren't important. Of course, they want kids
Yeah.
to be good collaborators, and they want them to be creative and problem solvers and accountable and productive, like all those skills that we want. But, reflecting back, like I don't think there's ever a time to really get meta on that work, or even in pre-service, like preparing teachers to
Yeah.
go out and do that.
Yeah.
There's not really there was never really an emphasis or a training on how do you actually build and develop those skills.
No.
And it wasn't until I learned about agility or agile classrooms that I actually saw an operating system that scaffolds that in and grows and develops students in that way. But it's weird because, we want that and we think, okay, let's put kids in a group and they're gonna become collaborators. That's not how, I mean, usually chaos happens, yes. And yes, there might be some growth. You might hit one button and you're like, oh, I don't want to do that again because that didn't
Hmm.
work. And
Exactly.
I get that, but I feel like we could really be more meaningful um when we are trying to develop and grow those sort of 21st century skills.
Yeah. And it's a great example. The kids they're not going to know automatically how to work in groups either,
All
especially
right, you got to
especially
model it and you
students,
got to
and you got to model it. And same goes for
guardrails.
us.
They need guardrails.
Well, I've always said, okay, I want to talk about 21st century competencies with the kids.
Hmm.
And I'm talking about collaboration. I'm talking about and I'm the teacher and or the principal with my staff, and I'm supposed to model this. But what happens if I don't even understand it myself? I've never practiced it. I don't know what it looks like.
Right.
It's a little bit like the work I do in growth mindset, right? We've been talking about that for a long time, growth
Mhm.
mindset,
Yes, we have been talking
and
about it a long time.
and the work that I did with my previous board that I just finished with in the last 3 years, I did a lot of
Mhm.
work with that at the board level, with some of the
Yeah.
learning teams and saying, okay, well, we all know what it is. Everybody can define what growth mindset is, but can you explain to me what it looks like in practice and
How do you
how,
operationalize it?
how do you develop it
Yeah. How do you
and
practice
how
what
do
you
you
preach?
maintain it?
Yeah.
Exactly. And then
Yeah.
that's when everybody was like, okay, well, maybe we need to work on that, right? So
Yeah.
you can't assume that people will know just because you're going to throw them into a room and say, okay, here's a project, do it and go.
Good luck.
You can hope for the best,
Right.
you
Especially
know?
young people too. And
Yeah,
I think that's where we got a lot of work to do so that when they do leave, they leave us.
exactly.
They'll be ready for whatever comes their way. And there's always what I find neat is there's projects in anything, and everybody has probably experienced a project of
Yeah.
sorts. And so if we can really prepare them for that, I think that'd be, gains.
Well, because you can apply it everywhere, right? In life, like you said,
Right.
in whatever projects you're doing, whatever situation, these are lifelong competencies that are going to follow you throughout your life, right? And
Yeah.
they're gonna serve you well. So those are the things that we need to be working. I'm happy you're there, that you're working that, Laura, in the schools that you're
Thank
working
you.
with. I'm doing some of that work as well at my end here in Ontario, Canada. And we got to keep doing that work, and this is part of it, right? Like we're talking about it, we're learning about it. You're saying things that's getting me to think, and people that are going to be listening, we're getting them to think as well. So
Hi, people.
yes, yes. So important to be able to understand those processes, right? Because
Mhm.
yes, and most of the time people will say, I don't have time to do that, right? When I'm in a classroom, I got a curriculum to teach. I got so many months, and out of those months, there's going to be snow days here in Canada anyways. We're
Yeah.
school transportation. I don't know if it's like that at your end. I don't think so, but we get snow days, right?
You
So
mean the permafrost zone you guys have up
yeah,
there?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It can get cold. It gets very hot, but it can get can get get a lot of snow and freezing rain and stuff like that,
Oh
right?
yeah, no
So
doubt.
they'll be pressed with time, and so sometimes it's a hard sell to get them to understand that, yes, it may take a week, let's say with your students, where you go over how we work in project before you actually
Do the project.
do the project,
Yeah,
but
a little pre onboarding.
that week that you're going to spend with them, it's your investment is going to come back right away because you won't be having to stop at different moments to bring them back or regroup them because things aren't going well or there's some fighting in some groups. You'll have dealt with that throughout, in the time that you spent with them beforehand, right?
Pays
So
dividends.
and I think it's the same thing with staff. As a school principal myself with staff, right? It was the same thing. If right off the bat, if we can figure out and if we can decide this is how we're going to function, this is how our PLCs are going to go, this is why we're doing them, and this is everybody's responsibility, and this
Yep.
is what you got to bring to the table, then it's a
Yep.
lot
Clear
clearer.
vision.
And I think we can get a lot further too as well, right? So
Yeah. It's that I think we always we want to just jump right in, but I feel like we do need to tend to the culture and bring everybody, like get everybody on the same page and create the buy-in. We talk a lot about buy-in. I mean,
yeah,
you're going to work harder if you believe in it,
yeah,
and you're going to put more into it if you own it. And so, yeah, I think if people feel like they own their PLCs, they see the vision and they can contribute, then it's going to pay dividends for our kids, right?
absolutely.
But I think I will point this out. I think that it really does take the leader to pave the way for that kind of work because I think teachers want to do all that good stuff. It's not that they don't want to. I think there's like a pressure or like a if there's not a culture for it, then it's
Yeah,
not going to happen. And
yeah,
so I really do think leaders have a lot of say in that, to be mindful and to make time for it. And I think if you model it with your staff, like with your PLCs and with working with the adults in the room,
100%.
then it reaps out into the classroom and it creates that safe place to like, yeah, we can spend today on culture or onboarding or spend some time developing our teams in the classroom. I think it gives kind of that permission if the culture lends itself to it.
The way I see it is it's like we have two choices. Do we want, because there's going to be professional development. We're in
Right.
education and everybody agrees usually that yes, it's needed and we need to do professional learning, but they don't like the professional learning that they're getting, right? Because of the way that it's structured, the way that it's done. That's
Oh
my
yeah.
belief anyways.
I
So
always
yeah,
joke like not your grandmother's PD. Like when I come
yeah,
in, like, listen, this is not your grandmother's PD. Like we're gonna have some fun. It's not like I'm not like the other PD providers. I'm a cool PD
that's right.
provider.
We're cool. We're cool. But I think it comes down to two choices. Choice number one
Yes.
is let's do something about it and let's learn how to do it well, right?
Hmm.
Because that once we have that, then
Yep.
anything that comes after that will have a process, will have a way to be able to do it in a way that we enjoy and in a way that we're growing. Or or you can say no. And I don't know if you know the film 51 dates or if
Is it
there's a
Drew Barrymore?
yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know the
Yeah.
movie
Okay.
where it's
Then
always the same day that rebel,
yeah.
almost
Yeah.
like Groundhog Day, right? You know, or
Hmm.
you can just keep doing the Groundhog Day thing with your PD, right? If you never learn,
Yeah.
the way to do it and how it could be beneficial and that you can like it, then you're just going to have that same feeling every time there's going to be PD because there is going to be PD,
Yeah.
right? So let's get to learning how to do it, and then we can be satisfied and be able to actually get something from it and learn and grow.
So there's a word for that I'm studying right now for my dissertation, and I cannot say it very well, but it's andragogy.
Okay, and
It's like
interesting.
pedagogy, but for adults. And so one of the things I'm really looking at closely is like how to make the most out of the time. Like, yes, we have constraints as leaders as we think about our professional learning schedules and the time we have to dedicate to that for our
Yeah,
teachers.
yeah,
But so part of my research is how do we get more bang for our buck
exactly.
and how do we make those learning engagements really meaningful and cohesive? And I really think agility in that sort of an iterative approach to teaching and learning, I think that might help us.
Mm. So
So
how did you pronounce that again, that word?
I
Excuse
know,
me.
don't make me say it again.
I'm
It's like the word rural. That's a hard word for me too.
interesting.
Non-urban, no. Androgot androgogy.
Androgogy, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, people probably pronounce it's like pedagogy.
Yeah,
Like, how do you say pedagogy? It's andragogy.
I say pedagogy.
Pedagogy.
That's because I'm
Andragogy?
francophone, but yeah, and in
Yeah,
French we'll say andragogie,
there
which
you
is
go.
yeah.
That sounds
So
better.
okay, okay,
I'm gonna say it like that
yeah, say
when I defend
andragogie.
my dis my
Got to
dissertation.
roll that R,
Yes, I'll roll
andragogie.
it.
So, guys,
Yes.
we've got Laura Williams here with us. We're having a great time. It's so awesome to get to
Learning
finally
new
get to,
words.
yeah, finally getting to meet you, Laura. And so, I got to ask you this question before I forget, and then I'll move on because I want to talk about your book.
Yes.
So, those morning messages, yeah,
Oh,
how did that come about, and how do you do it? It's first
yeah.
of all, thank you because it's very inspiring and we love
Thank
it, and
you.
you can see you're getting a lot of reactions out of that. People are reading it and they're appreciating it. So, what's up with the morning
Yeah.
message?
I mean, definitely like when people I can tell that it made a difference for them. It keeps me going. So
Yeah.
like definitely it's been sustainable. But yes, so basically actually I'll tell you my process, but so don't tell anyone. No, I'm just kidding. So every night I reflect on the day and I basically write it right before I go to bed.
Okay.
And it's usually either something I saw, something someone said, or just like a take on humanity in general, like
Yeah.
just a reminder that, hey, we're all human and we're all going through stuff. And so I don't know, I kind of want to just contribute that thinking out loud because I think oftentimes people might be suffering or maybe they are looking for joy or I don't know. Like I just feel like we have to really make it visible and put it out there. And my goal is to, yeah, inspire people, yes, but I also it's kind of like a reminder to be comfortable in your own skin because we're
Mm,
all human and we're all trying to add value and we're all trying to make a difference in our world of work or in our circle of people and so that's kind of why I do it. It's a reflective process for me. It's kind of like a diary or a
yeah.
journal.
Mm,
It's doable because it's not a ton of writing is, it's a Twitter X post, so
yeah.
it's not very long, but
Yeah.
um yeah, so I don't know, I just kind of started doing it and it just kind of stuck, but I will say I've been as you get older, I just feel like you become a little more thoughtful about things. And so this is sort of my avenue to reflect. But it really started when I went through some hard stuff in my life,
Hmm. Hmm.
and you kind of realize like other people are going through hard stuff too. And so taking, something that maybe wasn't a very good thing that
Yeah.
happened, but like taking a new perspective and a new appreciation for life and for people. And, we get this one life and we can make it better for each other. And
Mm.
so, yeah, I think it took like, sometimes a tragedy makes you look at life differently. And
Mm.
so that's kind of where it started. Like it
Mm.
was like therapy almost for me to write them. But then it just kind of stuck, and I've
Yeah.
probably been doing it for about a little, maybe if I look back, maybe over 2 years now. I
It's
know I
been a
have about
couple of
two
years for
years.
sure.
Yeah, it's
It's
been
been a couple of years.
2 years of Good
Yeah.
Mornings with Laura.
I think it's great. Thanks for that. I think it's
Yeah.
fantastic, and it almost gets me thinking about blogging. It's almost like a form of blogging,
Yeah.
like a reflective piece, like you were saying, but other people can
Yeah.
benefit from it. So I think it's great, and keep
Thank
going.
you.
Don't stop. It's nice to see
Thank
that
you.
positivity in the feed as well, because geez, there's a lot of negativity in there, that's for sure. So
Yes.
it's
I'm
nice to
trying
be
to
able
add the
to,
good nuggets out
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Just
add the good stuff. Add that good stuff. So, and not only are you putting out some positive messages, but you're doing fantastic work within the schools. You're also doing some work on YouTube, of course, with Hack the Classroom. You've got
yeah,
some
heck that
episodes in
what
there.
subscribe, like. No.
Subscribe, yeah, we got to subscribe, that's for sure. But all the links to those things I'll put it in the show notes
Awesome.
in
Thank
our
you.
website, so we'll get that in there for sure. But you've got some videos going up on Hack the Classroom. You're meeting some interesting people, talking education, leadership.
Amazing people. I love
Yeah,
like if you guys want on, let me know. But like I love Hack the Class because it gives people a chance to amplify their voices, and people are neat. They're doing amazing things. So it's
exactly.
definitely a good one to watch.
Exactly. And that's almost like, a platform where we're both doing some work, because I'm also producing some videos
We're
for
code breakers, y'all.
Codebreaker. Yep, yep. Shout out to Codebreaker and Brian Aspinall.
Hi,
So we're
Brian.
doing some videos for him and for the good people that are watching those videos. So you got to subscribe. We'll have the link, of course, in the website, inspireleadership.ca. Just head on out to that website and go into the podcast section. You'll get to Laura's page, and all the links will be there for you to find those great videos. And speaking of Hack the Classroom, of course, so I'm doing some work as well. And I called mine Leadership Hacks. So little tricks and tips that we can give people in terms of leadership or whatever could, because everybody can be a leader, of course. But Laura, do you have a leadership hack in particular that you'd like to share with us?
Oh goodness. I was thinking about this. There's so many. So I'm imagining like as leaders, we kind of have to take the helm. So I'm imagining like we're on a ship, right? And we're like kind of navigating, and there might be a storm, or there might be, things happen. We have to be, I'm going to bring it back, but to agile. We have to be agile and nimble as we make our decisions. And so I really do think that there's some great power in what business and industry are doing as
Mm.
they sort of navigate and use the helm to lead their people. And so I guess my leadership hack would be there's this event or ceremony in the Scrum framework. So
Yep.
Google Scrum if you're like, what's Scrum? It's called the retrospective. And the retrospective is something that I feel like when I was in the classroom, when it was something we didn't give a lot of time for.
Hmm.
So we always review the work in school. Like we look at data, we look at how, achievement and how kids are doing, grades, things like that. We review all the time. Um, but we don't often give time for retrospection.
Okay.
And I would almost value both equally. Like, yes, we need to diagnose, like, did we learn the thing we were supposed to learn? So review is really about the learning, but the retrospective is about the learner. And so it's about giving time to reflect on processes. And so as a leader, if you can give yourself some time to reflect on those processes, what went well, what could we improve upon, we can make those sort of incremental gains as we sort of debrief or unpack from whether it's you're looking at, your work week
Mm.
and you're kind of examining it and giving yourself the chance to retro, like, hey, what went really well this week? What could we improve upon? Is there a structure or a system in place that we might tweak so that we can get, a better output from it? Um, that would probably be my go-to hack. I mean, there's tons of stuff out there, but like that was game changing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just to give yourself the permission and the time and the mental space to really look back and think. So as a leader, when you're thinking about a school system, same thing, but it goes down to like any level. So like a
Yeah.
team being able to retrospect on how it went this past week or month or however, whatever your time box is,
Yeah.
and give yourself the permission to have that conversation. I often encourage teams, whether they're PLCs, like go have a coffee
Yeah.
and time box
Or a donut.
or donut. Ugh, I have a donut waiting for me. Joel knows this. I told him in pre-show there's a donut with my name on it. I did go for a run though before this, so I feel like it's okay. It'll balance out. But yes, go make it fun, make your retrospective fun. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not like a chore, but it's like, hey, we're gonna have coffee and we're gonna retro on the week. And really walk away with, some celebrations because I
Yeah.
think we need that as humans, but
Mm-hmm.
also what are like some things we could, critique? Have that radical candor of like, hey, that could have gone better. And maybe we do it this way. But I think you do need to have that culture so that you can have those honest conversations about improvement. So, yep, I would say hashtag retro because people are buggy.
I love that hashtag retro. You're absolutely correct. I discovered that many years ago as a school principal. And after having, put in those processes, those ways of doing, and actually making the time to be
Yes,
able to
you
stop,
have to time box it or it won't happen.
make the time. It is important. The processes, good processes and good habits are what's going to take us as a leader in our team
Right.
to our goals, right? That's what's going to bring us success. So we have to put in the time. You make the time there. It is
Make the time.
possible. I am living proof of that. I've been a school administrator I was a school principal for 18 years. And
That's so
from the
awesome.
moment that I put those things into place, Laura, it completely changed the game for me. It changed the way I seen my leadership. It changed the way
Mhm.
I led, and it changed the way that everybody on the team looked at what their responsibility was towards that team and towards everybody growing and
Yep.
adding value to ourselves first, and knowing
Yep.
that if we do that, who's going to benefit from that down the line in education? It's the
Yep.
kids. In business, it's the consumer, it's the
Right.
clients, right? So
Exactly.
you have to make the time, because like Laura said, if you don't, that
Mhm.
spot in your calendar is going to get filled up, and forget about it.
Oh yeah.
It's not going
Oh
to
yeah.
happen.
And think
So
about like how great it would be if it's timed out, like you have the time and people get a chance to use their voice and share. That makes you feel heard.
mhm.
And when you feel heard, you feel like you matter.
Yeah.
And then when you feel like you matter, then the work matters. And it just reaps so many good things when you build in that time to do that.
Absolutely. And that's why we're here. The way I see life is I'm on this planet to be a better version of myself today than I was yesterday. What am I putting into place to be able to do that as a
Yep.
leader, as a father, as a husband, as everything that I am in life. And
Yep.
to be able to do that, you got to stop and you got to reflect and you got to look back. And you're talking about that agile process.
Yep.
It's needed, and you have to do it because we're there to improve. And speaking of improvement, Laura, you wrote a book.
Oh,
You wrote a book, and the book is called The Improvement Game. You got it? You want to show it to us for the people that are on YouTube?
sure.
So, congratulations on that. There it is, The
Isn't
Improvement
it
Game.
pretty?
It is actually. I love the
So
colors.
pretty.
I love the
Yeah.
title because, we're all about improvement, of course. And
Yes.
Laura, you want to
It's
tell us a
pretty
little bit
big.
about the book? Yeah, well, tell us about it. What's in
Yeah.
there,
I'll give
and
you guys like a quick, like, just
yeah,
you see what you get. You get what
look
you
at
pay
that.
for.
Look at all
It's
those
pretty
nuggets.
long. It's like 260 pages. Yeah, it is a book. So the subtitle is Exploring Education Through Passion,
Okay.
Agility, and Authentic Learning Experiences.
Okay.
And so it definitely it walks educators through this idea of, what is authentic learning and
Mm,
and what could it look like in your classrooms. And then it walks through sort of the way you might operationalize it. And I use agile approaches and I kind of showcase like the Scrum framework
mhm.
in the book. And so Again, 21st century skills, how do we actually operationalize growth and develop around them? And it gives teachers a plethora of tools to actually do that. And so a way to make, learning visual so that learners can get on the same page. So having, prompts and protocols for project visioning, for example, like getting
Love it.
everybody a chance to like share what they think. There's a whole bunch of retrospectives, like I was talking about. Um, Within here, there's personal discovery prompts, um, team reflections. So, like having that
Wow.
conversation with your teams. I'm just trying to find there's a really, there's a really cool, I like this one a lot. So, this is some examples of some retros. This is called Retro Ride. I like riding
Mm,
bicycles, so I
okay.
was inspired by that. But
Love it.
if you use like a digital whiteboard, you would have like those digital sticky, and you can use like regular stickies too.
Mhm.
Like if you're using like a physical whiteboard, but
Yeah.
this one is an example of like on a digital whiteboard. So it's a prompt that you would give like your team, and you ask the question like, "Hey, what are the keepers that we're doing as a team?" And then you would share like this works really well when we do it this way. And so everyone can voice that out. So then it becomes transparent. Um, and everyone's on the same page. And
Yeah.
then leave the dust. So like as we roll away, what habits or processes should we leave in the dust? Um, and so there's some examples there, like not getting feedback before moving on is
Mm,
something that we probably should get feedback before we go too far
yeah.
down the road.
Yeah.
So it gives that, I don't know, it just gives a way. I like to call them guardrails to sort of facilitate those meaningful conversations. And so the improvement game, it is
Exactly.
about improvement. And so building in those guardrails to have those growth conversations.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of that throughout the book.
And just looking at what you showed us there, and from what I've seen, I see stuff that's great for, the classroom teacher with the students. I saw things that I would actually be able to put into my self-improvement plan, my growth
Yes.
plan, right?
Yes.
And you
And
know what?
this is not just for kids. Like this is
No.
for any learner, anybody that wants to approach improvement, and needs sort of a guide to do that.
And I was going to say, if you're watching this or you're listening to this and you're not even in education, you're in business, well, it applies to you too. There's stuff in there that you can actually use with your teams in your business
Oh
as
yeah.
well. So,
I mean, it was inspired by what I learned about what businesses were doing.
yeah,
And so, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think there's a lot of, there's even stuff I was thinking like, I would love to do this with my group of friends. I feel like I would get to know them a lot better,
yeah,
or in a different kind of way, like, I don't know. There's great utility in it for sure.
absolutely. So, congratulations again. So, the
Thank
improvement
you.
game, guys, you got to get out and get that book. We're going to get the link, of course. I'll link that up on my website. So, you just have to head on down to inspireleadership.ca in the podcast section. Laura will have her page there with the show notes, and I will add the link so that you can get on down on Amazon and yep,
Everything.
and absolutely, and order that book and get your copy right away. So, Laura, it's been great talking with you, and I got one
Oh, thank
question
you,
left for
Joel.
you. I didn't prompt you for this, but
Uh-oh.
I always ask this question to every single one of my guests on both my podcasts, actually. So here is the question for the people that are listening to this episode right now. They're either watching it on YouTube or they're listening to it on their favorite podcasting platform. If you had one wish
Ooh.
for the people that are listening to this based on the conversation that we've had, Laura, what would that wish be for the people listening to us today?
Mm, I would say maybe don't be so hard on yourself. And we're all human. And we can always get better. We just have to figure out what it is that we want for ourselves and for our families and our friends, and really go get it. So don't be hard on yourself. Pivot when you need to. Um, and find joy in that process of improvement towards whatever it is you're trying to do.
Love it. Life is short, one life to
Life is
live.
short.
Let's make the best of it, and
Yep.
let's maximize it and have a lot of fun. I think that's the
Amen.
whole objective.
Amen.
Amen to that. Amen to that, and potatoes. And potatoes as well.
And
And
un
that
pan de
donut that you're
teil.
gonna have after this recording. So
Guys, there's this beautiful maple donut. Oh,
they're
oh,
the best maple donuts. Best.
oh,
Love them.
my favorite.
Yeah. Definitely. So listen, Laura, thank you so much on this Saturday morning,
Yeah, thank
being my
you.
guest here on the podcast. It was great meeting you for the first time.
Yeah, it was so
Awesome.
great
So
to meet
can't wait
you.
for the next things to come. And congratulations again on the book. Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
Hack the Classroom, all the beautiful work you're doing there and the great work you're doing in your schools. Keep going. We need it.
And
And
you too, Joel. Your
yeah,
book's coming soon.
it is. Oh, so close.
Hashtag code breakers.
Hashtag code breakers. We are movement makers. That's for sure.
Ooh, I like that. Hashtag change agent. Hashtag movement makers.
That's a t-shirt right there
That
for
is a
you.
t-shirt.
That is a t-shirt.
I'm buying one.
Awesome. Thank you very
Awesome.
much,
Thank
Laura.
you. Yep. Thank you, Joel.